Show me the money. One of the most important things that you have to do in your organization is raise funds, whether it's on an annual basis for your annual giving or for an event, you need to find event sponsors. You've got to raise money, right? Today we're going to talk about how to do that. Chambers of commerce, associations, and nonprofits have pretty codependent relationship with corporations. So corporations like to give money to nonprofit organizations because it helps them with PR, and obviously, nonprofits, chambers, and associations rely on those funds to come in order to support the organization. Did you know that 91% of global consumers are likely to switch brands to one associated with a good cause, given comparable price and quality? And what that means is if a competitor to theirs has the same price and the same quality of a product that they're selling, and company A is giving to a nonprofit like yours, a consumer is more likely to buy. So people want to give to your organization. Now, 61% of consumers are willing to try a new brand or one they've never even heard of because of its association with a particular cause. Lastly, 50% of consumers said that they would be willing to reward companies that give back to society by paying even more for their goods and services. So this tells you that big corporations, small corporations, want to give to organizations like yours. But you know what you need to do? You need to ask them. So that's going to bring me to point one of our conversation. You've got to ask somebody to be a sponsor, because 100% of the people that you don't ask are not going to give you money. I've been in this situation before, and throughout this webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that I've had as an organization in sponsoring and what to do and what not to do. Let's talk about the ask and how to ask somebody for money and when. First of all, asking people for money can be a little intimidating, but once you practice it and you get all of those yeses and people are giving you money all the time, it gets easier. I like to ask people for a sponsorship in front of. Let's do the soft sell first, and you're in front of other people. Maybe you're at an event or at a luncheon or at some sort of networking event, and you ask somebody for money in front of other people. Talk about, not a specific ask, but you talk about, hey, you know what, you should really be a sponsor. Let me give you a call next week and go over some of the packages to really get your business some exposure. When you ask somebody for money in front of somebody else, they're not going to say no, because why would they? They want to feel like, of course I'm going to give to your organization. So that's always a great starting point. Also, when you're talking about who to ask everybody. Get a list of businesses in your area, or if you're a nonprofit organization, it's who is going to give to your cause. If you're a chamber of commerce, who in your community, all of your members, trade association, all of your affiliate members or your associate members, they want to give to your organization because they want the recognition, and they also feel good about it, and they have the capability to do it. So take a list of all of your members or the people associated with you and go down through and call them. If you're going to do an email campaign for an ask, personalize it. Do not mass email. A lot of organizations, especially time, the time commitment, they will send out an email to the entire membership saying, here is our sponsorship package for this year, for the upcoming year, be a donor. If you are going to do that, make sure that you follow up with a call, put it out to your committee. Maybe you have a fundraising committee or staff, whatever it is. Divide it up and make personal phone calls and make a personal ask. It's very hard for somebody to say no when you're face to face to them. It's a little bit easier over the phone, but it's very easy for people to ignore an email. So as much as you can get in front of people, get in front of people. Another thing that I like to do is anytime I go to an event, anytime, no matter where I am, it's ingrained in my brain now, I look at the sponsors of that event. Who is sponsoring? Who's writing a check? Whose logo is the biggest? Take note of them, write them down and make sure that you know who's given money and make sure that you get that contact information. In this internet day and age, it is very easy to find anybody's contact information. So when you've gone to an event and you've seen people's logos, you've jotted them down on your phone, go back and Google them, find them online and give them a call and ask them to sponsor your event. Lastly, When you are talking to somebody about money, let's say that they have a limit that they can give you before they have to go up the corporate ladder. This is an example that I have of a regional manager that I asked for a $10,000 give. Please sponsor this event for $10,000 and here's what I can give you for that. And he said to me, I only have a $3,500 limit before I have to go to corporate in Chicago, so I can really only do $3,500. So I said to him, could we do 3 sets of $3,500, or maybe $3,500, $3,500, and $3,000? So that way you've got that $10,000 level. We'll break up the payments over the year, and you can still get that $10,000 benefit. And the answer was yes. So be careful with that. If somebody says, I have a limit of this, get creative and spread out the payments. That limit could be a one-time thing each quarter or once a month. Who knows, right? Don't leave money on the table. There are 5 key areas we're going to focus on right now when we talk about sponsorship. The first is brand visibility. Corporate sponsors view sponsoring as a business arrangement, period. It's a business deal to them. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Sponsorship is a strategy to build brand recognition and increase sales. Sponsors want their logo anywhere and everywhere. Think t-shirts, banners, signage, newsletters, print, web, social media, landing pages, email campaigns. You name it, you can put their logo on it. That's one thing about brand visibility that you have complete control over, and a lot of things aren't going to cost you a lot of money. Whether you're doing e-news, e-communications, or sending out just an email blast thanking your sponsors for an event or thanking your annual donors, putting somebody's logo and a link to their website and a description of their organization online on your website and email doesn't cost you anything. So you can give that to people all day long and you're not increasing your cost in your organization. So think brand visibility. Second is recognition. Everybody wants to be recognized. Corporate sponsors want to be recognized for their generosity. Acknowledge them at events, at business after hours or networking events, in committee meetings, at your ambassador meetings, even at board meetings. You want to make sure that your board of directors, your ambassadors, and your staff know who all of your sponsors are. And I'm sure you're an organization that has a ton of sponsors, so make sure just everybody has a list of who they are. I was a sponsor once for an organization that, I knew several of the board of directors, and the board of directors didn't even know that I was a sponsor of their organization. I was a pretty large sponsor. So you want to make sure that if you're at an event where your sponsors are meeting with your board of directors, you want to make sure that the board knows who the sponsor is. Invite them for a private tour of your facility if you have an office, or take a tour of their organization. So you can walk into one of your corporate sponsors, maybe you have a dollar amount that everybody from there above. You go into their organization, take a tour, take pictures, do a live feed, and put it on your social media. Put a little video of them talking about their organization in your newsletter or somewhere on your website, thanking your sponsors with live video. It's fantastic, and it doesn't cost you anything. You want to make sure when you are doing those little videos, keep it under 2 minutes, because nobody's going to watch a 10-minute video. Place an ad in their trade publication and thank them for their generosity. So a lot of your businesses, your sponsors, are probably members of a trade association, whether your association or a national, different branches. Maybe you're a national association and they're a member of their local association. If you're a chamber of commerce, your members are probably members of their trade associations, and the same thing with nonprofits. Your donors are members of their trade associations. Take out a small ad thanking them for their generosity in their publication. It will mean the world to them, and you'll look like a rock star, and you'll have a sponsor for life. Ask your staff, your ambassadors, your board of directors to thank sponsors on their individual social media platforms. You have your social media page with your organization, which you're always going to thank your sponsors 2, 3, 4 times a year, depending on the level of sponsorship. But ask your board of directors and your staff to share it on their personal page. It really will get a lot of exposure, and then you can use that level of exposure at renewal time. Give sponsors VIP tickets to your events, and maybe create a Meet the Speaker VIP session before a before they speak at a conference. So let's say you have an annual trade conference or a monthly lunch and the speaker speaks at 1 o'clock. Have a little VIP session at 12:30 just so that they can meet the speaker, or you could do it after the event. So now that they've spoken, the speaker has spoken, you could do a VIP session afterwards. I like to do it before because your speaker is going to want access to your entire audience afterwards. Maybe there's a book signing or just a general Q&A that didn't get finished before you ran out of time. But if you do a VIP event where they can speak with the speaker, it's really makes them feel special. The more special you make your sponsors feel, they are going to renew. Number 3, metrics. When a sponsor gives to your organization, they're going to want to know the return on their investment to your organization. The most common metrics used to measure sponsorship, ROI, is to evaluate the amount of exposure the sponsor received through that campaign. So put together a comprehensive list of all of the marketing materials featuring their logo and the number of impressions that it received. So what I mean there is, if you are putting their logo on an email blast, how many people view your email blast? If you put it out on your social media, how many views would it get? You can log all of that information, especially with Google Analytics and things like that. If you put it up on your website, how many people view your website? Keep track of those metrics because that exposure is going to help you resell that sponsorship at the end of the year. Give examples of other businesses in the same industry if possible that have banner ads on your website and print those metrics out. How many clicks did that banner receive? Here's another example. You have a membership lunch ad. The date, it ran from May 1st to May 31st, and it received 4,000 impressions. Keep track of these in spreadsheets for your sponsors. An email blast was sent on May 15th, 1,300 opens. Direct mail, mailed it on May 20th, 1,000 recipients. Facebook post, posted on May 23rd, 400 likes. That is thousands of impressions that you're going to be able to use on your ROI at renewal time for your sponsors. It's fantastic. Make sure you keep track of those metrics. Number 4, keep lines of communication open. You want to make sure that you have a constant dialogue with your sponsors throughout the year. So first, when they sign up, let's say it's a $10,000 sponsor, or we can even use a $1,000 sponsor. Here is what you're going to get from us. Thank you so much for your generosity this year. For your very generous donation, here is what you are going to get in return. It's super important that you make sure that they know exactly what they're going to get and it's all written out. Most important is that you actually give them what you say you're going to give them. So put together a calendar for the year. Here's our sponsor, here's the level, here's what they get. Put little reminders in your calendar. Make sure that you post it on social media 4 times during the year because you said you would. So make sure that you have that calendar all throughout the year and keep those lines of communication open. Start the relationship even before you ask for the money. So we talked a little bit about talking to a sponsor in front of other people. Make sure that you know who your sponsors are. Make sure that you're getting to know them at events. If you've got a large company that you would like a check from, make sure that you make some sort of connection with that person before you're going to ask them for a very large check. You, as an executive director or a fundraiser, are attending events that maybe your sponsors aren't on a guest list for. You think sometimes that these events that you have to go to, candidate forums, things like that, annual dinners, annual luncheons where a lot of bigwigs are going to be in the room, you have to do that as part of your job, right? You're like, oh, I've got another luncheon I need to go to. But sometimes you can bring a guest. Bring that potential donor as your guest because they may not be on the guest list for that event and they may very well want to be in a room with all of those people. The mayor, city manager, all of that, they want to be there because that's a treat for them, where for you it's another event on your calendar. So think about that as a way to bring in a potential donor. Stop by their place of business throughout the year. Like I said, you want to make sure that you've got a touch points, okay? So they've written you a check, you've written them a thank you note, maybe you've sent out to your board of directors, please thank this sponsor with their name. contact name, company name, contact information, phone number, email, you name it. Please take a moment to thank them for coming in at the silver level or whatever level you have. And then make sure that you let your board of directors know what the amount of that silver level is. You think that your board knows and has memorized all of the different levels of your organization, but they don't. So, give them more information than you think that they need. Number 5, get creative. So you have created these incredibly beautiful sponsorship or investment packages for your organization, whether they're annual or for a specific event, and you've listed for each dollar amount, here's what your sponsor gets. But let that just be a starting point for your sponsor. Sometimes a sponsor doesn't really need their logo on everything in a community, okay? So I have a nonprofit organization that I work with. It's actually my husband's nonprofit organization, and he throws a festival every year to raise money for Habitat for Humanity. It's called Blues and Barbecue for Better Housing. There's a plug. So we went and we got some pretty large sponsors that I knew that could write big checks in a community. And I said, you get your logo on here, 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 but they're a big manufacturer in our community, and they don't need their logo on and everything. Well, what would you like? You know what? We have a board of directors for our corporation, and we have a management team. It would be fun to do a build for Habitat with them, a whole day. We can make that happen. How about a VIP tent with your name on it, right? So we always do a VIP tent at this festival, but it didn't have a name. So what if we called it, we put your corporate name on the VIP tent. For $10,000, your name will be there, and it'll be your corporation VIP tent. And then we'll give you VIP tickets for all of your management team and your board of directors. And we'll throw in a free event pass for every single one of your 100 employees. So it sounds like a lot, right? But it doesn't cost us anything. It didn't cost us anything to give a free ticket to that event. Yes, you can say that we left money on the table because the employees would probably pay to go to the event. But my guess is those employees would bring their family. And their family and their significant other and their children, they would all buy tickets to the festival. So giving away those 100 tickets is really going to bring a lot more people, I think, to the festival. So even though that VIP naming rights wasn't on our brand, when I had a conversation with the corporation and I listened to what they would like, it helped me to create an opportunity for them, okay? I'll give you another example. My company, I have an association management company. I manage trade associations and back-end operations for chambers of commerce. So I was asked to be a sponsor for this, the Colorado Chamber of Commerce Executives annual conference. So all chamber executives from the entire state were going to be there. That was the audience. So my sponsorship, when I spoke to the executive director, I said, you know what I want? I would like my company name and what I do to appear in an email with a link to my website at least 3 times before the conference. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about my logo being up at the event. I didn't care about, they had offered me dinner tickets, but I was going to commute down to it. I wasn't going to be there. I wasn't going to stay overnight at the hotel. I was just going to do one speaking engagement, and that was it. So really what I wanted was those 3 hits. So now when I went in to speak to that conference, all of these executive directors knew exactly what I did and how I could help them. And then after the speaking engagement, I got 2 new clients out of it. That is exactly what I wanted for the return on my investment, and I will always be a sponsor for that conference because of that. I got exactly what I needed. I was looking for 2 new clients, and I knew what it would take to get them, and so I did the ask. So listen to your sponsors. Listen to those corporate potential sponsors and what their needs are, and get creative. And lastly, talk to them about potential clients. Who are their clients and who are they targeting? Because in your position, in your organization, you may very well have access to their clients. So if their clients are members of yours, I'm sure it will be that way. You can connect them with potential clients at events. So make sure that you're keeping track of, who the target clients are for your corporate sponsors. And this last slide goes without saying. Say thank you, say thank you, say thank you. I can't even say it enough. Send a thank you card after they've written you a check. Send out to your staff, your ambassadors, your board of directors. have them say thank you. And maybe you don't do it all at one time. Maybe a month after you've sent your thank you note, you send it out to your board of directors to say thank you. And then the next month you send it to your team to say thank you. Make sure that you are saying thank you. You can do video thank yous on your website. You can spotlight them and put blogs in your newsletters. We talked earlier about going to see them, but you can also send anniversary cards. One of the things that I received as a sponsor, which I thought was very cute, was a happy anniversary card in the mail. I'm like, why am I receiving a happy anniversary card? I opened it up and it said, this is your 2-year anniversary of being a sponsor of our organization, and we want you to know that we appreciate you. I thought that was so cute. So consider anniversary cards if they've sponsored for more than 1 year. As we wrap things up talking about sponsorships, I'm going to leave this slide on the screen for you. And it's just some fun ideas to get creative with sponsors. Okay, here we go. You always talk about table sponsors at events. You put somebody's logo up on a table, or a VIP sponsor, coffee sponsor. You can have sponsorships for absolutely everything. If you have a bar at your event, you can have a bar sponsor. You can have a drink sponsor. You can have a Facebook cover sponsor for your organization's Facebook page and put their logo on the banner for a month. You can have naming rights to different rooms in your organization. If you're having a conference and it has a gym at the hotel, you can have a fitness room sponsor. I mean, you can really get creative with every single one of your sponsor opportunities. Everything is sponsorable. Okay? Everybody has cell phones. They have devices that they want to charge, right? Always put a charging station at a conference. You can have a lounge with a charging station, right? Have that sponsored. So sell it for $2,500. Put this charging station sponsored by the solution. Recharge with the solution. Make sure that everything that you do that costs money, find a sponsor for it. You have hors d'oeuvres at the reception. Hors d'oeuvres are generously sponsored by, and name the company. We've talked about thanking your sponsors, we've talked about getting creative, and we've talked about how to find your sponsors. But all I can really stress to you the most is ask. You've got to ask if you want somebody to write your check. It's really hard for people to say no to other people, especially when it's face-to-face. So I hope that this has helped you to go out and find new sponsors and nurture them and get them to stay on board with you.
The Solution is an association management company that maximizes your value and potential while stimulating growth and engagement for your organization. We are skilled facilitators in strategic planning and board orientations. We are masterful at membership engagement, leadership development, and event planning. If you are looking for education, facilitation, or guidance for your organization, we are the Solution.